Okay, so a bunch of my friends have asked me how I make patelito. Patelito, you making cake? No. So what are patelito? Patelito are the Dominican version of empanadas. That's right. There are many different types of Hispanics and Latinos on the planet, and sometimes we'll make the same thing and call it by a different name. So for example, let's say a Mexican or Ecuadorian, Colombian, they'll call an empanada, right? Okay. But for, let's say, Dominican or Puerto Rican, we'll call it patelito. That's the beauty of the different Hispanic branches, all right? So I want to show you how I make patelito or empanadas. And of course, these are Puerto Rican / Dominican style. All right. Okay, so here are the ingredients that we're going to use. I have 4 cloves of garlic diced up, minced up nicely. This is half a red onion. Of course, you can use white, you can use whatever color. This is half of a bell pepper. This happened to be a very big bell pepper. I would typically maybe use this much, but we're going to put the whole thing in for the nutrients. This is 8 ounces of tomato sauce. You can make it at home, or you can buy the canned stuff, the little cans which are 8 ounces, and get it unsalted. This I learned from a friend in Texas. This is some cilantro, a bit of it that I had diced up and threw in the freezer. I'm going to just use it for a little extra flavor. This is our sazon that we made, homemade sazon. Combination of the 4 seasonings. I thought I did a video on it. If not, you can use the little foil packets, but as I mentioned before, those little foil packets have stuff in it that probably is not good for you. And lastly, this is less than a teaspoon of, not cucumber seed. I'm going blank right now. I'm going to have to look into the cupboard real quick. Celery seed. Celery seed. It's less than a teaspoon of celery seed. Celery seed is very potent in flavor, so I would say use half a teaspoon, or maybe even less. I mean, like, put in half of this. Okay? You're also going to need, listen, don't criticize me, I'm tired, okay? I bought these, put my hand over here, these prepared empanada or patelito discs. They sell them in the market, usually in the freezer section. $2, maybe $3 a pack, and you just put them out to thaw. I could make it myself, but I'm tired, and I have flour, I have all the other stuff, but I'm tired. All right, give me a break. All right, buy this, just relax. All right. So I'm also going to use, to the chagrin of many, we usually prepare them out of ground beef or chicken. I had beef like 3 times this week already, so I'm going to use some ground turkey that was on sale, and it was a pretty good price. It was like a pound package for like $3. So we're going to use the ground turkey. If you use beef, it's the same process. The only thing is that with beef, of course, ground beef naturally has a lot of fat in it. You can throw it into the skillet and cook it up that way without any added oil. But since we are using ground turkey that is very lean, I'm going to put a little olive oil into the skillet. All right, let me show you what I'm going to do. All right, so there's our ground turkey, right? And again, since we're using ground turkey, we need a little fat to go into the skillet. I don't want to deep fry this, right? I just want to be able to heat it up without it sticking too much to the pan. So I'm going to put, what is that about? Is that about a teaspoon? A little more of olive oil. And I'm going to either squiggle it around, or I also have my little silicone brush. I'm just going to spread it around. The reason why it's sizzling is because the silicone brush has a little water in it. That's my goof. Make sure it's completely dry. Alright, and sometimes for even more flavor, I'd add like a tiny bit of butter, but that's fine. Okay. Oh, and it's also on like medium-low heat. Okay? Alright, so the ground turkey is here in our pan. And I'm just, like going over it, trying to get it nice and warm. And I'm not going to season it yet. What I'm going to do is I want to brown this. It's on its way to getting brown. It's on medium-low. And this should take like 4 or 5 minutes. You play it by ear. When it's all nice and brown, then I'm going to add the vegetables. And then I'm going to season it. Right? And then maybe cook it for another 5 minutes or so. Okay? So we want to do this. Make sure it doesn't stick until we get all of it nice and brown. And you can see it's on its way. We have some red areas, pink area, and brown. So we're working. All right, so you can see here, there's no pink left. And it's not going to get brown like beef, right? So, but this is good. This is brown. Remember, this is turkey. We have a little bit of the olive oil and a tiny bit of the fat that is kind of caked here. But it's been about 5-6 minutes. I lowered the heat. And what I'm going to do now is add my vegetables and then season it. Okay? Vegetables and then season. So I'm going to add my veggies in there. Ooh. And give me a moment because I need both hands. Alright, my veggies are here. I want to make sure that I mix everything well. Everything well. I lowered the heat to low to 10 to something, but I'm going to bring it back up to like medium, low medium, because I want the veggies to be tender. I don't want crispy veggies all biting into an empanada. Okay, so I'm going to do this, cook this for about another 3-4 minutes, and then we're going to add our seasoning. And I forgot to mention 2 seasonings in particular, okay? But we're going to cover it. Okay, I went to take a phone call, so I lowered the heat and covered it. It's been about 4 minutes, which is fine. You can, lower the heat, cover it just to get the vegetables nice and soft. And yeah, they're on their way. They're on their way to being soft. So now what we're going to do is add our combination of homemade sazon. And importantly, I forgot salt and pepper. So I want to do the salt and pepper first. And of course it's to taste, and you can add as much as you like. Okay, a quick note about when you're making the meat mixture. You can also put a tablespoonful of your recadito or sofrito mix into the meat while you're cooking it. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. This time I didn't. This is slamming. But that's, an option for you. Maybe one day you want to try to make them with your sofrito. Another time you want to make it without. Okay, this time I did it without, and it's so good. So that's just a little note, and I hope you enjoy it. Sorry, I went to take a phone call. So what I did is I covered this, lowered the heat, and it was on for about 4 minutes. Okay. This right here, this is like the olive oil and it's a bit of the fat from the meat. You can see the meat is not sticking to it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to season it with our homemade sazon, but also I had forgotten salt and pepper. So, the salt and pepper is to taste. A lot of people have dietary restrictions. I'm shaking the salt because this is a pink salt that doesn't have anti-caking. So, just a bit. Can you see that? I can see it from salt and some black pepper. Alright? Now, you're going to have to figure out an equivalent of like the little foil packet of sazon. I'm going to take a tablespoonful of it and put it on there, along with the extra seasoning. Well, there it goes. That is the celery seed. Okay. I didn't feel like grabbing a tablespoon, so I put 2 teaspoonfuls of our homemade sazon. Of course, we're going to mix this up. Alright. I should probably be using my wooden spoon, but laziness there. We want to mix it up. Make sure it's distributed. Then we're going to cover it and let it go for another maybe 3-4 minutes. Okay, but we still want to add something else to it. Okay, so I moved this on the back burner just to make it a little easier to record. So this has been here for about 3-4 minutes. It's starting to look like beef, like ground beef, right? At this point, since it's seasoned, we got a lot of vegetables. The vegetables are nice and soft. Some people put little diced bits of potato in their empanadas or in their patelito. We don't really do it, like Caribbeans, we don't really do it. But if you'd like to, I should have mentioned that when you add the vegetables, you want to put the potatoes. Little dice, if you put big chunks, it's going to take longer to cook. Just a little factoid, if you want potato in your patelito, your empanada. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to put in my tomato sauce. This is 8 ounces. I'm sorry for the shakiness, but I'm going to have to scoop the rest out with a spoon. And what we want to do is make sure it's all well covered with the tomato sauce. Okay? We'll be back. Alright, so here is our meat and veg mixture. Oh, I sounded fancy. Mixture. There are little pockets where it's bubbling. You can see it's like boiling. I'm going to add a little water. A little bit of water. That's like what? Less than a tablespoon, and mix it up, and I want it to come back to like a slight boil. And this is actually called picadillo. You can eat this yourself. You can eat it with nachos, you can eat it with whatever. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to make sure it's evenly distributed. Cover it and let it go on low for another 5 minutes. Alright, so here's my picadillo. Here is the stuffing for the empanadas. It's nice, it's bubbly, it's delicious. At this point, you should taste it to see if you like the seasoning. Maybe you want to add more salt, more pepper, or more of your homemade or store-bought sazon. Right? Some people also put adobo. That's up to you. While this was cooking, we wanted to do, or you should have done, some prep work with the discos, or the empanada dough. Of course, these are store-bought. I'll show you at another time how to make them. But the thing is, since they come frozen, you want to have been out during you cooking the meat, and you want them to thaw out, because you're going to handle them, and we're going to fold them, and we're going to seal them. So you want these to have been out while you were preparing the meat mixture. All right? Now, what I'm going to do, it's not necessary, but I'm going to put the meat mixture on the side and let it cool down, uncovered, to accelerate its cooling down, so that when we fill the empanada disc, or the dough, with the meat, we don't burn ourselves, and it's just generally easier. And the thing is, it's going to cook. We're going to put it in an oven for 350, about 20 minutes. Okay? So you also want like a baking dish or some sort of like casserole dish also ready to go. Alright. Okay, so a little adjustment. I did not put in the frozen cilantro because I tasted the meat mixture and I like the taste of it. I put maybe a little too much of the celery seed. So you want to use half a teaspoon. Okay, but in general, I like the flavor. Also, the texture of the meat, it's cooked, but I like it not super hard and not super soft. So I put the meat mixture back on medium, low heat, and I'm going to keep it there maybe another 5 minutes. And it's good because it'll give the empanada dough more of a chance to thaw out. Some of them are still a little frozen. All right, so we're going to let it go. It's on medium. I hear it crackling. I'm going to turn it down even a bit lower. And it's covered. So we're going to let it there go for 5, 6, maybe even 7 minutes more. I just want to check on the texture of it. All right? Let me tell you something. I'm so glad I put it back on for a couple of minutes. Because on that heat, I cooked out a little bit of that celery seed flavor, and it is perfect. It is perfect. So we're missing like 2 or 3 minutes more of it on the heat. Then I'm going to turn it off, uncover it, and put it to the side so that it cools down. Okay, so what I've done here, I've taken all the meat mixture out of the pan because, you know, it technically still it's cooking if you have it over the hot, you know, stove. So I put it into this bowl, and it looks like ground beef, doesn't it? Just like ground beef, and it's delicious. I ate 2 spoonfuls. I'm cheating. I have my empanada dough ready to be worked with. I want to show you too that while it's cooling off, I prepared these 2 casserole dishes. This one's really well used. I put in some olive oil, and my oven has been on at 350 for the past couple of minutes. When I decided to take the meat off the range. You're looking at my hand a lot. It's like Muppets or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to fill the empanada dough with the meat. And I'm going to show you a trick or 2 in terms of how to get them closed. Also, sometimes when you deal with these pre-made empanada doughs, they crack or a piece of it falls off. I'll show you how to fix that. It's no biggie. All right? Let me set up my little tripod here. Okay, so here is our empanada dough. Our meat mixture with a teaspoon. I have a cup of water. You can use a little dish or whatever. And a fork. Okay? You're going to have to resist the temptation to be greedy with the meat. All right? You're going to take a teaspoonful of the meat, plop down in the middle. My temptation is to do this, to get like a whole bunch. No, but you know, these are smaller empanada discs or doughs. And you know, basically when we flip them over, it'll be enough for the empanada. Of course, if you buy bigger ones, maybe you want to put 2 teaspoonfuls or maybe a tablespoonful. So I'm going to just stretch it out a little bit here. I'm going to wet my fingers and go around the edges. Okay? Then, thankfully these come with a little like plastic sheet. And I'm going to close it and press down on those edges there. And here we have a cute little empanadita, right? Or a patelito. Now, how you close it up? Well, you're going to take a fork, right? And you're going to press down on the edges. This is what they usually do in restaurants and in like taco trucks or Mexican, Dominican restaurants. They'll close it up this way with a fork. Okay? You can do the other side if you want, but this is fine. Okay? And I'm going to put this into the casserole dish or the casserole pan that I'm going to use to bake them. Okay? I want to show you another way that you can handle empanadas. Now, for example, let's say if I make some beef and chicken ones, or turkey and beef, or whatever, you know, 2 separate kinds. Sometimes I want to make a distinction between the beef ones and the chicken ones, or sometimes a couple of my friends, or one friend in particular, she's can't really eat cheese. And so let's say I make some with beef and then others with beef and cheese. I'll close them up in a particular way so as to make a distinction between those that, you know, have different fillings. So this time, same thing, teaspoonful, and that actually was a little more than a teaspoonful. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit, right? With my fingers, get the edges, and now we're going to fold it, right? And of course, we're going to fold it along where the meat is. Right, so the meat is kind of like laying in this direction. We want to close it this way and not this way. All right, so we're going to close it this way as with the other one. And instead of using our fork to close it up, what we're going to do is, straighten this out. We're going to pick up the edges and we're going to keep picking it up until we get to the end. And it's pretty nice. It makes a cute little like ribbon type shape. Sometimes when I make chicken ones, I'll make their edges like ribboned. So what do? You just pick up the edge and fold it. and then you pick it up again from that point and fold it. And you just keep going around until you've closed the whole thing off, the whole empanada off. Fold and press and press and press. You see? The plastic is getting in my way, but you see? And being that I started here, then went here, I kind of messed up the flow of it, but you can always fix it. You just go back, press, hold and press. And you can see it has a cute ribbon shape. All right, I'm going to put that into our casserole dish. And I'm going to repeat the process until I do all of them. And I have so many of these empanada dough discs that I think I may actually do some beef ones. All right. I want to show you what happens if you get greedy with the stuffing and you overstuff it. You're going to have this mess. And you know, while it's cooking in the oven, it may burst a little bit, it may spill out, and I mean, it'll still be delicious, but you'll have a little bit of a mess. And here I am, I've lined them up in my oiled casserole pans. I'm almost done. I just want to see if I can find a broken one or a cracked one to show you how I handle them. All right, so I got about enough meat for about 3 more. What I want to do is show you how to handle like a broken one or one that's missing a piece. So let's say, let's take this one. Snap! All right, that looks ugly, right? Okay, so what will we do with this? Well, just handle it the same way, because when we close it, it should turn out okay. I'm going to put our meat here, same way. All right. I'm going to put a little water on the broken area. I'm going to come up and around as usual. Maybe I can squeeze this here closed or shut. And that's it. You don't have to be afraid of broken ones. Okay? A little may come out of the crack there. We basically sealed it. But you just, prepare it like the other ones. And that's it. Alright? This one may or may not leak a little bit, and that's fine. Alright? You can even take, if you see a little piece of dough lying around, take a little bit of it, wet it, and work it into the broken area, maybe. Or you can even do that before you fill it. Right? But either way, this should be fine. And I'll show you when we take it out of the oven. Another thing is, these are going to look fairly small. You can also buy larger empanada discs. But even these themselves, you can, wet them a little bit in their entirety. And just, stretch them out a little bit. Make them a little larger if you want. I think they look cute the way they are. Alright? You can also, see? Bring them out a little bit. You can also, if you don't mind the mess, this is why I like these little plastic dividers. It's less of a mess, but you can take some flour, throw it on your board, and then work with the dough in getting it a little larger. Okay, so either way, all right. See, already this is bigger than it was before, but it's up to you. All right, fill this one, and then we're gonna put them in the oven. Being that this is a little larger, of course, we're gonna put in a little more meat. All right. Ooh. Go to our buddy here and give him the rest.
Alright. It's so good. And it tastes like beef. The way it's seasoned, forget about it. You wouldn't tell the difference. If you have a person in your family that's not supposed to eat a lot of beef and they're stubborn, make them this ground turkey this way and they won't know the difference. All right. So my empanaditas or my pastelitos, they're ready to go into the oven. You know, usually, traditionally, I can't even speak. Traditionally, they're fried. They're like deep fried. But the thing is, you know, of course, this is way, way healthier if we put it in the oven. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little silicone brush. And even with some of the olive oil that's in the pan, I can go over them. If you don't want to do that, you can just get a little more olive oil, you know, put it in a little tiny cup or something, and just go over them, just so that they brown nicely. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a little more olive oil just on top. Oh, actually, there's a nice reserve of it here. Pooled over here on the corner. So I think this is enough to go over them. Hey, there's even enough here in this corner to go back here. Alright, so if you have a cooking spray, that'd be convenient. Maybe like coconut oil, so you can go over it. But this is fine. This is good. Otherwise, we deep fry them. Maybe on a separate video, I'll show you how I deep fry them. All right? So my oven's been going at 350. It's been on since we started cooling the meat off. So now we're going to put it into the oven for a good maybe 10 minutes, and then we'll check on them to flip them over. Alright, and then so of course that bottom rack is the hottest, so I'm going to put the second one on the second rack, and what we'll do, after 10 minutes we'll like interchange them. Alright, we'll put the bottom one on top and the top one on the bottom. Also, we'll take a look at them to flip them over. Alright, they're going to be in there 10 minutes at, let's see, 350. It's been at 350. I'm going to lower it a smidgen to 3. Okay, and we shall return. All right, peeps. It's been about 10 minutes. I got my tongs in my hand, and what I want to do, I just want to check to see how they're cooking. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm sorry for all the shakiness. Maybe I'll do this at an angle so that. How's that? Is that discernible? Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a few and see I can move them. They're not sticking. And I can see in the bottom they're starting to cook. They're starting to brown, right? So what I can do is, it's up to you. I can flip them over and let them brown a little on this side. Or I could just, leave it another 5 minutes and let it completely brown on that side and then flip them over. It's really up to you. At this point, I want to make sure that I can move them. and you know, they're all nice and loose. Okay, with the exception of, okay, this one's nice, this one's cooperative, this one's cooperative. Okay, they're fine. Okay, let me flip this one over. Oh, that one's browning too. Oh, all right, so they're all on their way. All right, I put the heat back up to 350 a little bit. I want to do it for a little bit, and that sounded strange. Okay, I'm going to close this without burning myself, and I'm going to check on the top ones. Of course, they're in less direct heat, so they should not have browned as quickly. And no, they're not. They're not browning as quickly, which is fine. Okay. All right. So I'm going to let this go another 5 minutes and check on these again. All right, peeps. I apologize. I started like cleaning up, and you see I took my apron off, and I lost track. Not lost track of time, but like, you know, when to record. So basically, our empanadas were in the oven for another, what was it, like 5-10 minutes, and basically that's to check on them. So I did check on them and forgot to like record the process of what they should look like. The dough's risen, most of them are nice and brown, and I just want to show you. I flipped that top row I flipped over, they've cooked nicely. I'm gonna flip the bottom row over. And so let's start with this one. Ooh, this guy's jumping at me, boy. Nice and brown. Nice and brown. Why am I being so random with their order? Okay. See, they're nice and brown, and the pastry puffed up. And that's what I want. Okay? This guy, see him? Okay, he's on his way. He's on his way. I miss this guy. Okay, he'll be on his way too. Did I put this one? Alright, so these are basically done on this side. I flipped them over to brown on the other side. If you're not going to do a second row like me, you don't have to worry about it. So we're going to leave it again another 5-10 minutes. Again, it's you checking on them to make sure they're not overcooking. You want them to look like this bad boy, or like this one. Okay? Look at that. Beautiful. The others, being that they're like in the corner like this one, he's cooked. But it may not brown as these others. Right? But still. We'll give it another 5. Okay? Peace. A moment of truth time. Now we're going to pull them out the oven. I'm sorry, I just started like cleaning and doing a bunch of stuff while they were cooking. So again, I'm sorry I didn't like video my process of checking up on them. But basically that's what you want to do. I think in total time they've been in the oven maybe half an hour. So you put them in every 10 minutes, look at them, flip them over, check the brownness of it. Another 10 minutes, another 5 minutes, flip it over, check it, look at the brownness of it. And so in total, before I said 15, but I think dragging this out, it's been about 25 minutes, half an hour. All right, let me try to do this with one hand. Or do you prefer, I don't want to get burned. I'm going to pause it and I'm going to pull it up, put on my oven mitt. Okay. These were the ones on the bottom, and they were done. So ooh, look how pretty they look. Look at that. Ooh, baby. And the ones that were on the top rack, I put them to the bottom so that they can cook. Look how beautiful these are. Look at this. They're all brown. They're all delicious. I gotta move these tongs. And let's take a look. Man, they're so pretty. These are so good. Oh my goodness. Look at that. These are cooked as well. They didn't brown as much on that side. But, you know, if you want to, you can put them back in the oven. Let them go a couple more minutes. But these are cooked. These are good. Okay? You can't be racist. Let me get a drink, and I'm going to sit down with a couple of these. Came out so delicious. How many more am I going to have? That many more. I usually have them with some hot sauce. I have 2 brands of hot sauce here. I don't know if I don't want to get sued. and I'm going to have it with the rest of this Pilsner type beer. I would also usually, when I had the time and energy, make some guacamole, my style, but this is fine. This is delicious, this is fine, this is everything. Let me show you the inside one. I apologize. So, I hope you enjoyed this. You asked me any questions. I apologize that I skipped over because I kind of lost track of what I was doing. These are real good. Bye.